So the thing is that I think that fundamentally I live in a solipsistic universe and that I am the only real person. That's something that I believe, and I tried sharing this with my wife, and she was very upset by that notion. So then I played it off a little bit like it's a joke, because it sounds a little bit like a joke, and then she was okay. But I think I actually do to some degree believe it until I'm drunk. Well, and then when I'm drunk, I think the opposite. I think actually that every human being is unique, a unique individual with their own soul. Yeah.
Do you think maybe it's simply a subconscious decision to protect yourself, as if no one can really hurt you if they're not, really real?
I did not pay for this therapy, and I resent it.
You're getting the sort of value you get for not paying for your therapy.
That's true. Hey, do you want to hear an interesting fact?
I'd be delighted to hear an interesting fact.
Okay, so something that I'm very interested in is the population decline of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know this, but Japan's population maxed out at 128 million in around 2007, 2008.
Right.
So that's a lot. That's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
By now, it's around the 124 million mark, which means that there was a decline of 4 million people during that time. Now, what I find really interesting about that is that 4 million people is like a lot of people. It's like 4 times as many people as live in, I don't know, Iceland or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just so many people.
It really is.
It makes me very sad. And then there's a marked sort of difference of what Japan feels like, what it felt like, I don't know, like even like a decade ago to what it feels like now. Like there are so many more, it feels like there are so many more older people around. I don't know if that's an illusion.
Well, my understanding is it's an issue they've known about for a long time, and they've been taking steps at governmental levels to try and change the culture to the point where it stops.
Oh no, they can't. It will never happen because it turns out that Japanese women don't want to get married, and Japanese men don't want to get married to Japanese women. This is highly controversial, but the reason for this is, right, as I might edit this out, but the reason for this, partly I think, is the quite misogynistic traditional culture, where boys from a very young age tend to be told that they are special and wonderful and that they deserve all the nice things. And when the great economic boom of Japan happened, women were told, you can now have a career until you get married. And it turns out that if you let women have a career, which is a very good thing for the economy and also a good thing for people,
yes,
in general, they might not want to just stop to become a second mother to a coddled man.
It's a outgrowth of the same issue that's happening around the world. It's just every culture deals with it differently, and Japan definitely has its own unique and individual challenges in that regard.
Bam! Welcome to Monumental Mythtakes.
Like that intro.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it was great.
I think it was fantastic. Okay, we did it. What are we doing in Monumental Mythtakes? It is one of our small Mythtakes, which is a mini bonus episode where we are doing something different. This one is a new format that you thought up using your brain.
Well, not just my own brain. Again, this was in discussion with a mate of ours, Leo. So the concept is...
Did you say Lilio?
Our good friend Leo. No, I do sometimes call him Leonidas.
It sounded like Lilio. And I really like that, actually.
Lilio's good.
Can we call him Lilio from now on?
No, I'm just going to call him Leo. But you can call him Lilio.
I'm going to call him Lilio. He's going to love that.
He's unlikely to come violent with you, but he'll certainly give you a look.
He won't. He's not going to do it. He knows when an alpha is in the room. Because it's usually him. God damn it.
I was thinking it very loudly.
Yeah, okay. All
So,
right, cool.
what we're actually doing with this episode is we're going to come up with a name for a historical individual in our setting of Hyacon, and something that they have left behind, their monument. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monument, but that's the idea, hence Monumental Mythtakes. And once we've done name and thing, the other individual is then going to riff on it, as we so often do in our mini episodes.
That's really brilliant, and I love it, and I think it's a good idea. I don't know whether I went too overly specific with like the name and the thing that this individual left behind. So
Right.
if that is the case, then I can change it for future episodes.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
Absolutely.
Who's going first?
Would you like to go first?
I would like to go first only because I want to know whether I have made some kind of monumental mistake. Okay, the person, the person that you're going to be talking about is the thrice blessed head taker of the unified concordate dominions.
Right.
The thing that this individual left behind are the skulls of his 3 children, Ara, Gara, and Vara.
Right. What was the name of the organisation? Could you pop that into the chat then?
I will pop the entire thing into the chat.
It's a nice big thing.
It's
going to be plenty to work with.
It's a nice big thing. Where does this program have chat again? Oh, it's the one that says chat.
It is the one that says chat, which is at least halfway decent UI.
I'm getting smarter. There you go.
Every day. All right.
What do you think about that?
The unified concordate dominions. Okay, so my first thought is that this is a period during the concordate, which is a long, multi-millennia spanning, or at least a millennia spanning era. And during this period, one of the rulers of the concordate has not rulers. Just that, so there's a problem with succession, and you end up with a warlord era, as you so often do in the history of France, the history of China, the history of Japan. Let's face it, it's probably only a certain amount of time before it happens in the United States. So
that's going to be fun because they have so many guns.
They do. And the 3 greatest of these warlords were great generals in their army, Ara, Gara, and Vara. Their father, the thrice-blessed head taker of the Unified Concordate, who is apparently unnamed, but you know what? I like the idea his name is lost to history.
Like so many things.
Was called back into service by one of the heirs. He earns his loyalty, and the thrice-blessed head taker then goes to war with his 3 children, and slowly, one by one, he takes each one, and as was the custom at the time, he takes their heads.
Do you think the concordate was it was definitely a very militant empire, right?
I would say if we're looking at a millennia at least long empire, then it has gone through evolutions. And this was certainly a particularly militant one, and that the culmination of this when he's the instrument that welds together the concordate once again, it does have this period where it's known as the Unified Concordate Dominions, which is simply a period in what the modern day individuals now just call the concordate.
Brilliant. Now, the skulls of Aragara and Vara, they've been left behind. Where are they? Where can we access these skulls?
I think that because they were symbols of the unification, of putting down those who would stand against the new head of the concordate.
Head.
They were, I think they were plated in, we came up with in an earlier episode, spit steel.
Spit steel.
Yes. It's got a cool name, but I can't remember what it is because spit steel is the colloquial name and it's certainly the most evocative one. Each one was coated in spit steel for posterity, and those three skulls are sort of symbols of rulership in the Concordate. Now, one of those skulls, the skull of Vara, is held on the island of Lumara in a shrine, and is considered sort of the fact that the current Connachts of the Great Consociate hold control over that is part of their refounding of the Concordate myth that they've got going on.
So that's like part of their mandate.
Yes, and they are constantly searching for the other two, as is the Unfettered League, because if they can simply denying them to the Great Consociate is a blow to their cultural power. But currently the skulls of Ara and Gara are not well known where they are. Okay. I would suggest that one of them lies, is at least where its location is known to the... Oh, I'm going to go jump into our notes for a second. When you're talking about other places in Old Halidia, yes, I mentioned that there was a noble family that's actually the heirs to the last throne. So they know where the skull of Ara is, but the skull of Gara is unknown to anybody so far. Yeah.
Brilliant. It's probably in a very unlikely place. Like, if this was a story, it would be such a far away and unlikely place that like neither of the great powers would even think to look there.
Yeah, so like between the TV and the wall.
Yeah, that's where it is. Yeah, that's where I keep my skulls. I mean, not my actual skull, but the collection of skulls I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it's weird to have a human skull, like as a thing in your home? My mother had a skull. When she was studying at university. Her friend, I think, from one of the archaeological departments gave it to her. So there's probably iffy of where that skull came from. But she always said that it was like super cool, and she put a candle on it.
Well, that is the traditional thing to do with your human skulls in your study. I'll be honest with you, dead remains should be treated with respect, but I also don't find it particularly how you treat them should be how you want yours to be treated. It's all about being human. But on the other hand, I don't think there's anything especially sacred about them either.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I would like something funny to happen to my skull.
Right. Well, I mean, perhaps you could put a provision into your will then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am working on a will, but it's extremely complex because I have I told you about this?
No.
I have some very specific requirements that I'm trying to negotiate. So I need one part of my body, it doesn't matter how small, to be buried in Poland.
Right.
And that presents a difficulty because when you die, it's actually illegal to like chop off a finger.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just you just can't do it. So I'm trying to work out.
Could you be like cremated and have sections of your cremains?
I can't be cremated.
Oh,
I don't want to be cremated.
Oh, right.
It's the only superstition that I hold to. I don't want I want my bones to be there. I want my bones to become part of the earth. Right. I don't want my dust to become part of the earth. I want them to turn to dust naturally.
That's absolutely a reasonable and logical choice. I'm perfectly fine with cremains in a Pringle can somewhere in someone's backyard or something.
I'll cremate you.
Me. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. It's up to me as your podcast partner. I will
decide upon.
I will do right by you.
I appreciate that.
I'll incinerate your body as soon, or maybe even a little bit before you stop breathing.
How deeply comforting. Thank you.
Like if you become really gross, like if you start getting like a bad dementia, and then like your dementia causes like weird racism, I'll do it, man. I'll do
Honestly,
it.
at that point, I'd thank you. Were I not, weirdly demented.
I forgot that we're doing an episode, so can you give me
Let's-
your...
Well, you've
well,
been really showing me up on the previous mini episodes. You've had me roll because you've had these tables and the bits and pieces. So
Yeah.
I thought I better up my game. So I've got something for
are
you.
you going to make me roll?
No, I would like you to pick a letter from the alphabet.
Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
A letter from the alphabet.
Yes.
Holy crap. Okay. I will choose P, because that's a funny letter. Because
Did
it's
you say
also
S? S is a good letter.
no P.
Yeah, I heard S though.
No. I'm pretty sure it's P.
You don't want to change it to S?
Ooh, what about Q?
I'll be honest with you, I only have one for S. I kind of hoped you'd pick S.
Okay, can I change my answer?
Yes, please.
Is S okay?
S would be great. S is a fantastic choice.
Oh, great. I like that. Thank you.
Good.
I made the right choice.
You did. It's a fantastic choice. All right. I would like you to talk about the individual known as Sil Solus Sorensen. And I would like you to talk about his Steely of Tomorrow's Sorrows.
Can you put that in the chat, please?
I can indeed and have.
Okay. I'm looking up what a steely is.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Oh!
Yeah, you probably know what they are. You've just needed to...
I've seen these, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, hold on. Now, it's either a botanical term...
Oh, no, I am very much referring to the...
an archaeological term.
Archaeological one.
Okay. This is actually...
did you say a biological term? No, I'm
botanical. Curious. The central core of the stem and root of a vascular plant, consisting of the vascular tissue, xylem and phloem, and associated supporting tissue.
Well, there you go.
So yours was, speaking of monumental mistakes, is an actual monument.
Yes.
Oh, that's smart. I should have gone with that too.
No, yours is brilliant. I had a lot of fun with the three skulls.
Okay. Sil Solus Sorensen's Steely of Tomorrow's Sorrows.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I would imagine that Sil Solus Sorensen was actually quite a famed poet and playwright of the Unfettered League.
Right.
And he, when things were looking, he died shortly before the end of the war.
Right.
Between our two great powers over Haliacon. I imagine this war lasted quite a long time, maybe quite a few years. So Sil Solus Sorensen was actually anti-war.
Right.
He was a pacifist, and many of his plays, which were quite famous, had characters who, through either inaction or their cleverness, managed to save the day, which differentiated his plays from other plays of that era, because those tended to be very focused on, great heroes and their deeds and stuff like that.
Martial victories, that sort of thing.
That's right. His heroes won because of their character and their convictions. One of his less popular plays right at the start of the war was an explicitly anti-war play, which led to his financial and social ruin. it was something that was at the time, because the war was seen as quite a righteous thing for the unfettered league to engage in. His play was such a, I guess, a savage put down of the leaders, the Grand Council, and all the people involved in the decision making. He basically, in a lovely poetic way, called them warmongers and fools who are plunging the world into yet another meat grinder. And the play was called Tomorrow's Sorrows.
Right.
The stele of Tomorrow's Sorrows is a small monument that he had commissioned before his eventual and unfortunate suicide, which has the main paragraph of the end monologue by his hero in that play, which basically states, using some very clever metaphors, that he what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for a word. Hold on, and I'm a little bit tired. He disparages. He disparages the rulers of the league. He says that essentially any soldier who would go out in a conflict like this is no better than a murderer, and things like that. He committed suicide because it was a very, very unpopular stance at the time. But his stele survived, and it survived until after the Bloody Avenues Agreement, and public opinion had sort of changed, was changing towards the end.
I was going to suggest that perhaps
it had softened.
Well, not only that, but if Suicide of Sorensen might have been one of the original Luminarchist thinkers, so like one of the philosophers behind what the Unfettered League would be born out of, and then after towards the end of the war, the idea that there's a definite softening towards him, and that perhaps he's lauded now in the
definitely he's sort of seen as a bit of a tragic figure whose ideas and ideals of peace and solving things through other means than war was something that we should all look to. And also I think he's a tiefling.
I love it. All right, brilliant. We've sort of got our sort of combination Shakespeare and Bob Dylan of our universe.
I think that worked, actually. I really like that one. That one really inspired me almost straight away.
Honestly, I really love. We've really fleshed out some cool historical bits. This is
yes, we have. Yeah, no, that's so awesome.
I want to do this one again, and with your other idea,
the past. Past
Mythtakes.
Past Mythtakes. So to the listeners, I had this thought that Monumental Mythtakes maybe doesn't quite fit here, because I was thinking specifically of the fact that all these figures that we're talking about in this one are from the past. But actually, Aaron made the good point that we're talking about, sort of their monuments, the things that they left behind. So that kind of works. What would past Mythtakes look like? Do you think that would be more? Well, it could be a lot of things, actually, couldn't it? It could be a situation. It wouldn't have to be a person.
Or something from history. You can then talk about historical assassinations or assassinations, the reign of a particularly difficult individual, famous battles and so forth.
Great idea. We should do it. That should be the next one we try, maybe.
Right. Yeah, next time we're going to do past Mythtakes then.
We'll do past mistakes.
All right.
Although the rate that these are released at, it might be sort of out of order.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Anyway, let's thank our listeners.
And make sure to keep checking for more episodes. Check the stuff below for links to our Patreon and PDFs and so forth.
Yep. Guys, thank you for listening. If you've stuck with us, we try to do 2 episodes every month, 1 mini episode and 1 main episode. We are currently more than halfway through our main series of Haliacon, talking about a fantasy city that has been partitioned by 2 great powers. And if you don't know that, then this must have been a very confusing episode for you.
Deeply confusing.
Yes.
Probably go back to the start.
Yeah, go back to number 1, the first
all the
one.
way to the start is our pilot episode is totally different. So enjoy that too. But then come in at number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually really easy. Everything is contextualized by reading the description. Yeah, brilliant.
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna take us out, if that's okay, with another interesting fact about Japan.
Oh, right. Yes, more.
Did you know? Did you know that authentic Japanese cuisine actually is under the UNESCO? Is it UNESCO or UNESCO? Either way, it's classified as a cultural heritage, an intangible cultural heritage thing. So the washoku. So washoku is authentic Japanese cuisine, which takes into account things such as the aesthetics of the meal that you're eating, seasonal ingredients, things like that. It is considered to be a very specifically Japanese thing.
Right. Well, I mean, how is that different from anybody else's national cuisines?
Yeah, they don't have the UNESCO cultural heritage rating.
I see.
That's it. That's the only difference.
Wow. Gosh.
But also it's better because it's Japanese. These guys, they invented anime. And I haven't looked very deeply into their history, and I just think that they've been
eaten an anime.
That's very good. I'm just saying, okay? There are peace-loving people that have never done anything wrong. Anyway.
Korea. All right, cool. No worries.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.